Like I told you guys, hello, hi. This is Tory Christman from Burbank, California. And today is the 13th of April. Unbelievable. Hi. Hi, Nolo. Hi, the Scientology Experience. And hi, Rockstar. I've been asking you, can you hear me? Right? But I realized I hadn't gone live yet. Duh. Anyway, Mark isn't here yet. He's trying to reboot his system. And so as soon as that happens, then he will come on. But in the meantime, it's me and you. And oh, it looks like Bunkie is here.
Good Lord.
Ah, you're
All
upside
right.
down.
So my computer isn't working. I put it on my iPad. No one told me the iPad was going to do this.
There you go.
Is this the proper direction now, at least? This sucks.
Thank you, Garden Ready. Yes, I remember that. Hi, Sophie.
Oh, wait a minute.
Thanks
There
for
we
coming
go.
on. Oh, good, Mark. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Kelly. Hey. Kelly, can you email me so I can talk to you? Because I have a question for you, and everybody said ask Kelly. So either Mark send me her email or she can email me.
I'm sure she'd be able to handle that. I don't have access to most of what I need right now.
Okay, well, that's my email, Kelly. So if you can just email me, and then we can talk for just a few minutes. They said you have the answer. All right, so welcome, Mark Bunker. Hello. Thank you for going on your lap. It's the laptop?
Now I'm on my iPad.
You're
the
on your
laptop
iPad.
is still not rebooting, so something's wrong there.
Okay. All right. And Zell is, oh, I see. Oh, wait, I see. I've got the wrong thing. I'm looking at there we go. Hi. There's Kelly. Okay, Sophie. Hi, Eric from Culver City. That's right. And Marcy. All right. So how are you tonight besides your computer being mean to you?
I'm okay. I'm incredibly excited about one thing.
What?
The editing software I use, which is the best around, DaVinci Resolve, they have a beta out of the newest version, which has got tons of great new features, and I've been playing with those, including they make it easy now to make YouTube shorts and animate the text. So I put up one of those before going to work tonight, and I've been working on another one right now. And I'm going to go back through all my videos and start making some shorts from them, and probably put them on TikTok too, which people have been saying, you ought to be on TikTok. So if I can't get on TikTok, I'll get on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get them on TikTok. We both got to be it. I'm on TikTok a bit, and I have thousands of views from it. Yeah.
How about that?
Jessica's mom suggested that, and she put the questions there and had Jay ask me them.
Gotcha.
But anyway, there you go. So tonight is a Q&A with Mark and I. So any of you can ask any questions that you want, and we'll try to answer them. And I have one question for you guys first, all of you. Okay. Now, these are really goofy sunglasses, but I bought them to go over my glasses because I'm very light sensitive. I can't do TikTok. Messes with my brain. Yeah, I know. I'm the same, Kelly. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't like TikTok, but everyone says you should be there. So
yeah, I know. All right, so close your eyes for a minute. Close your eyes. All right. Okay, here they are. Now, what do you think?
It's like Ant-Man has a wife.
That's how I feel. They're gigantic, right? They're too big, right?
Oh, couldn't be too big.
Huh?
They're fine. They couldn't possibly be too big. You can still hold your head up right. If it topples over, then you're in trouble.
No, they fit, and they block the sun, so that's
Well, that's
good.
the important thing.
All right. Y2, I don't know what Y2 means. Big but not ugly.
You too.
Okay. I love them, Tori. You look
I
cool
too.
with them. Thank you, Eric. Nolo said, Tori, my mom has these clip-on sunglasses that yeah, I know. I used to have those, but I can't find them anywhere now out here. And so these were ones that were on Amazon, and you can try them on, and they don't look that big on Amazon, but they're big, as you can see. So anyway, all right. So Kelly, I hear you. I don't have time or energy for it. Okay, what is Kelly asking for? I don't know.
I was thinking I need some sunglasses myself tonight while I was driving.
Yeah, you're going to need them.
Yeah, the sun is just insane when you have to drive toward it.
Oh, so. God, that's the worst. That is the worst. I had an accident soon after I left Scientology.
And sooner or later, you're going to have to turn and drive right toward it.
Pardon me? What did you say?
Me? I was saying sooner or later when you're driving, you're going to have to turn toward the sun. So
yeah,
every time I do that, and I'm like trying to merge onto a busy street, it's like, is there anyone there? I can't see.
No, I know. They're really bad. I hate driving in the sun, and it's so bright here. And
yeah,
probably there too.
And we both have had the cataract surgery, and that opens up the pupils, so you're much more light sensitive than before that.
Say it again.
It's the truth, folks. That's what you have to look forward to.
What?
The people out there watching this, they have to look forward to being extra sensitive to the sun after they go in and play with their eyeballs with the cataract surgery.
Oh.
All right. I was just trying to fill up airtime.
There you go. That's good.
I can't see any of the chat, so forgive me for.
You can't?
No, it's nothing. It's just the iPad interface here. If I want to see the chat, it covers the full screen and blocks my view of the cameras. So.
Yeah, Kelly asked if you can turn your volume up a little bit. It's a little hard to hear you.
Can I turn my volume up? I have no idea how to do that on my iPad. I don't have a microphone plugged into it. Let me see. If I go into settings, where can I find settings on here? So I'm not seeing anything within StreamYard. And if I move away from the page to look at my app settings, am I going to lose you? We'll find out. I'm going to try to go into settings now.
You can always come back.
All right, so let's give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Oh, can you still see me?
We can't see you. We can see that your name, Mark Bunker.
How about that? All right, let me see if there's any controls here for turning up the mic. I don't have a built-in mic. I just got the mic that's built onto, into the iPad.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to hear you.
All right. Well,
but it's not bad. Like Larry said, he can hear you fine, and I can hear you pretty good. It's just Kelly said, she said, don't worry, we can hear you. It's not a big deal. So come back. Come back, Mark. And Sophie said the sun is brighter here in New Zealand under the ozone hole. Ooh, the high control light makes it good for photography and filming. That's true. Hey, there he is, the man about town.
Yeah.
And then Alligator said, here it's worse in the winter with the sun reflecting on the white snow. Ooh, ouch. That's right. I remember that from Chicago when the sun would reflect on it. Okay, good. So we're cool with the sound. Nighttime in Florida, says Psych Cater. Okay, now why Y2 Watcher says, question, there are a number of old conferences with survivors of Scientology. Mark, are you restoring any of those videos? Do you know?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've got Jerry's comments from '98, I think, that I'm working on right now, Jerry Armstrong. But I've captured all of them, and they're in the pipeline.
Okay, good. Good.
Think an iPad.
He said, do you know how these are planned, and wondering if they're possible to recreate them? I think you just answered that, though. You're doing it. You're on it.
I'm not sure of the question. How it's
It was
planned?
the second.
You mean
It was
my
the second.
release schedule?
It was the second part of his thing, and it said,
Or do you know? Or do you want to know how a panel like that is put together so that you might be able to do one?
do you know how these were planned? Wondering if it's possible to recreate them. I think he just wants to see it.
Well, it sounds like he's interested in putting a panel together himself. He's asking how it was planned, and recreating them would mean that you want to create something that's just like that. Actually, frankly, I did not do any of the planning for them. Jeff Jacobson, I think, was putting them together for the Lisa McPherson vigils that were held, and he would be a good person to check with. And you can find him. You can find him. And
he's on Facebook, just so anybody knows if you want to get in touch with him.
Yeah, he's got great tips for how to do pretty much anything when it comes to protesting.
He's great. He came up with, what was the original name of the peaceful picket?
Gandhi Tech.
Gandhi Tech, that's right. He came up with that.
Well, and that may be that Gandhi came up with it first. I don't know, but that's the name for it.
But I mean, for us, he did.
Yeah.
And I passed that on to Anonymous because they had some other plans, and I was talking to him on Skype the night you were making the video, and I said, "No, these guys will put you in jail." And they said, "Really?" And I said, "Oh yeah." Yep. And they said, "Well, what can we do?" And I said, Gandhi Tech, have a peaceful picket. They can't arrest us if we have a peaceful picket. That's the thing. See, that's the difference. Some people don't get that it has to be a peaceful picket.
That's best.
That's the best. Because then you're sort of safeguarded. They don't really have anything they can do with you.
Yeah. Don't be like this guy who tried to burn down a governor's home tonight.
Yeah. Yep. He did. And shockingly, because like I said on the news, I mean, there's cameras all around the place, up and down the street. And even they're asking other people in other homes if their cameras caught anybody. I think they caught the guy already.
Yeah, they did catch someone. He's going to be arraigned in the morning, I guess.
Yeah. Y2 Watcher also asked, I was wondering how the panels were planned, wondering if they could restart with today's stories.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's the same question, essentially. How do you put together a panel like this? It's a matter of contacting people you'd like to be part of it and saying, would you be available? Finding a venue where everyone can attend. And, the hardest part is, where are you going to do it? How's it going to be? Is it going to be streamed live? Well, nowadays, that's simple to do. But you need to have a location for everyone to come together. If you want to have a live crowd there, it has to be a pretty sizable room. It doesn't have to be huge, but you may have 50 or 100 people that will show up to watch, possibly.
But now you can do the live stream, right? Where they just stream it live.
Yeah, streaming live is fine, but I mean, if I don't know if it's as necessary anymore to do a panel in person when you've got everybody streaming. But it's probably complicated to do a number of people interacting.
Yeah.
Again, I've never put one together, but I would think Google would be able to help you, if not Jeff Jacobson. There should be some sites out there that say, "Hey, here's the best way to put together a panel on any subject."
Yeah, I asked Google. They will
And
know.
I mean, there's so many more people out speaking now that it's amazing how many voices are out there, and I can't keep up with it.
Well, you're doing what you can, and that's good.
Yep.
I think that's true for all of us. There's so many voices now. It's different than it was in the old days. You know, we went to a picket and filmed that with our little camera, and then uploaded the one film. And
yeah, but don't forget, Tory, with that, we changed the world.
Exactly. We did. It was kind of amazing. I'm very happy that we were part of that.
Yeah. I mean, it was the most fascinating part of my life when we were at the Lisa McPherson Trust.
Yeah, me too. It was pretty amazing. And you arriving, for me, in Scientology, you arriving at the 4th of July thing when I was still in, and seeing, you with that big camera and everything, and seeing how flipped out Osa was. Oh my God. They were
Well,
like,
that's always good to hear.
Huh?
That's always good to hear that they're upset when somebody approaches.
Oh, they were flipped out when you had that big camera, because those were big, those big ones. And it was like, you couldn't miss you. It wasn't like, who is that? I mean, they hated cameras to begin with. I was telling someone today, I was telling Jessica's mother this tonight, because we were talking about how apparently some big YouTubers showed up at Celebrity Center a week or two ago, and Scientology did what they usually do, and they were told, and these guys had camera crews and lights and everything.
It may have been the same guy who came here to Clearwater. I know they were going to LA to
Could have been
do part of their story.
But she was like, how could they be so stupid to film these guys? Because they ended up getting in a fight and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was perfect for content. It's perfect. But I was telling her about this journalist that interviewed me years ago in the Valley, and you could tell she didn't believe a word I was telling her. I was telling her about fair game, and she was like, yeah, sure. She was kind of writing it down like, sure thing. And I said, you know what? Let's go over to Celebrity Center, and I'll show you it. Because I thought, I'm done talking to this lady. We drove over to Celebrity Center, parked the car, walked up their little, they have that horseshoe. We walked up, and she said, well, that's a nice garden. And I said, go take a look. And she just literally stepped into the garden, and the security guard came running out and said, get the hell out of our garden. And she looked up and she said, pardon me? I'm a journalist. And he said, I don't care what you are, lady. She's a declared suppressive person, and we don't want them around. So get out of here. And she walked away with me. She goes, I can't believe they're that rude. And I said, well, let's go to the complex and we'll see how they are there. And I knew they'd call ahead of time. So by the time we pulled up, the security guards were right there. Tory, get out of here. You're not allowed out here. And I said, sorry, pals, this is it's Sunset Boulevard. I said, this is a public street. I think it was Sunset, right? That's at the end of L. Ron Hubbard Way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Sunset.
And I said, this is a public street. You can't kick me off of it. And she was like, I can't believe this. It just brought it all into, but, these guys have seen so much stuff now. They're so educated. It's got to be crazy to think, why would anybody ever join? But I always reminded there was no internet when we joined. None.
So, I mean, that was the worst combination of people that Scientology could see on their front stoop. A noted SP and a journalist.
I know. With a camera. Yeah. But she was nothing like these live streamers. That was the thing. They're like miles ahead of them. You know,
What a
one
lovely shot
camera,
of me drinking some water.
one camera they can kind of chase off, but 10, forget it. All right, now let me just look at the comments. So Sophie says, I think another panel discussion with the near current activists would be really interesting. Okay. And
It
the
would.
science,
Absolutely.
okay. And the Scientology Experience said you can find him on his website too. Oh, Google him for Jeff Jacobson, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then Tracy Tam said, hi, Tory. Hi, Mark. Hi.
Hello.
And so Sophie said, YouTube watcher. I agree as far as the panel, that would be cool. And alligators.
I mean, the one that I kind of moderated in LA years ago, who put that together? Oh, my steel trap mind for names right now is failing me.
I don't know. Where was it?
It was in LA, but the thing is, they did such a good job of planning that one that we had journalists there from Australia,
Wow.
from all over the place. So it was very well attended by the press. And the ones that we did for the Lisa McPherson Trust back, or even before the trust existed back in Clearwater in the late 90s, I don't remember. Well, there may have been somebody from the Times there.
No, they
From
didn't
then
want to
the
have
St. Pete
anything.
Times.
No, they didn't.
I
I was
remember
in,
being interviewed. I'm pretty sure that it may have been Tom Tobin who asked me some questions after one of them, at least. But there were no TV crews or anything at that one. We're in LA. I mean, there was just a ton of media there, and I had to break it to some of the people on the panel that we needed to allow these TV local TV teams to ask their question right now instead of at the end, because they had to make a noon live show. So they actually stopped us in the middle of somebody speaking to say, we're going to have to go. Is there any way we can just ask a few questions? Yes, there is. So, and
yeah.
as I recall, there were, there weren't a lot of happy faces. Well, there weren't that many sad faces, though, that some of the crew disappeared to their stations before they got a chance to speak. But all of it was recorded and put online. And so people have been seeing that for years now.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question from alligators for both of us. What is the craziest thing related with Scientology that you've ever seen?
It's a tough question. I'm trying to think of something that was extra crazy.
They're kind of always crazy.
Yeah. I mean, personally, it was crazy to find them at my house, but I mean, that's not unusual. They were doing that at the time, coming and doing a revenge picket. It was crazy when they had me arrested in Chicago, but that's not but these are all kind of ordinary things for Scientology. I'm trying to think of anything absurd or crazy.
I mean, for me, having a seizure and them saying you're not being responsible enough, that was pretty crazy.
Well, here's one that made me laugh and still does to this day. When I first came to Clearwater in '99 with Bob Minton and Stacy Brooks, and we went to the Fort Harrison Hotel, there was a security guard who had his camera on me, And so I started saying 75 million years ago, the Earth is known as Tigak and was ruled over by the evil overlord Xenu. And he put one finger in one ear and kept filming. And I thought, really, is that going to really help? And I chased them away just by telling the story of OT3. So how good is your security if you can just start talking about Xenu and they flee? I always thought that was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a kind of an endless array of crazy things. I mean, I don't know, I've seen so many things that they've done that are the crazy things, like asking me to go open those phony accounts, and seeing Bill Yachty afterwards, thrilled. It was like, what is this about? Seeing the vice president at LAX for me, was, charging down the hall with her high heels on, seeing the lady from Colombia whose father used to run Colombia and said it's time for our family reunion. And she was a Harvard graduate. She was there locked in the Flag land base because she lost her materials for OT7 in the New York Harbor bathroom. So they locked her in Flag. She's been there for months. And now her dad calls and says, look, you're coming to the family reunion. I don't care what's going on there. You're coming. And so I talked to her and I said, look, you got to work it out with him, so that you can go, because this is your dad. And so she gets it worked out with everybody all the way up the chain. They all say, okay, she's all ready to go. And all of a sudden we hear the heels coming down the hall, and this lady threw her in an office, and you just heard them screaming their lungs out, and I just thought, this is insane. But it is, I call it the closet, where if you're in Scientology and the Truman Show, it's sort of like shit happens that is just not supposed to happen. And if you took it up right then they'll send you to ethics, right? Yeah. Because now you're obviously in doubt. So instead, you just put it in the closet and you'll think about it tomorrow.
So I can't really think of anything monstrously crazy like when Mike Rinder had his entire family track him down and start screaming at him as he came out of a doctor's office. And that was recorded, at least the audio, by John Sweeney and for the BBC. I haven't had a situation like that I can think of. But I just remember the stories of like Astra, when she sat down to tell her story, she had to guard, I think a couple that wanted to leave, and she had to be outside their room, and Astra tied a rope around her wrist and around the doorknob in case she fell asleep and they tried to sneak out. It would wake her up.
Oh God!
What does that happen in your church? Well, it happened in your church, but I mean, for those folks watching out here, I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, they are kind of amazing. They're endless material, that's for sure. All right, now Sophie said, comment. I really think peaceful protests are the only way to get your message across. Yeah, we agree. Without the ability of the opposition to twist it and make the protesters look violent, aggressive, or unhinged. Yeah. Like we said hello to Odo yesterday, who's a security guard, and we were going to sit and protest. And we drove up. I said, hey, Odo. And he said, hello. And I said, it's springtime. We're back. Just so you know. And he smiled. It was like he's happy to have us back because we've been friends for a long time, even though we're not supposed to be friends. But he knows.
Now you just got him in trouble.
No, we have talked to him for hours. I mean, literally hours and hours. Years ago when he could talk. Now he can't talk, but he, I'm just saying he knows me, and they know that he knows me. Uh-oh, Bunkie's going to sleep.
Yeah, I'm a tired boy.
All right. We won't keep this long. Sophie, question, both Tory and Mark, is there a specific protest that you were in that really sticks out and a memory of each other protesting together? Okay, for me, the biggest one that sticks out is Anonymous with 500 people here and 9,000 around the world. That was awesome. It was amazing. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. Matter of fact, I was just thinking of their protests when you were talking about the way to protest, and Anonymous had fun. I
Yeah,
remember like the CARG
yeah,
was great fun.
yeah.
And since joking and degrading is such a high crime in Scientology, the fact that you can go there and get your point across and joke and degrade at the same time, that seems to be a double win. I also really loved being in London and seeing the big mass of people who were across from the street there at the org.
That was awesome. And can I just say one thing about that?
Yeah.
Because here in LA, and Mark knows this, the police are more on their side. Not because they're paid off individually, because Will explained this to me. It's just they pay so much money to the Church of Scientology pays so much money to the police. They kind of have to, side with them. That's what Will said. But anyway, in London, remember, they had this huge amount of Anonymous on one side of the street,
Mm-hmm.
and then whatever was on the other. And I asked the cop, because I was like, or Bobby, whatever they are. I asked him, and he said, oh, yeah, no, they have that side. That's their side. They're protected. And I was like, wow, that's really different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just looking at that footage in the last week or two. I've been getting it ready to post again.
Oh.
And there's a lot of footage from London that I haven't shown before. So, and some stuff that I, I'm glad I found. Like, do you remember it was on our trip to St. Hill? At some point, we were at I guess where we had all parked cars, and we caught a guy in the bushes who was on a motorcycle, and he was like taking pictures of us.
Right.
And we confronted him, and you had a lovely exchange with him as he sped off on his bike.
Yeah.
You were saying, "Hey, what you do? This is not right, man," or what? I forget exactly what you're saying, but as he was just about to speed away, he said, "At least I ain't wearing no fucking mask." And I said, "Well, she's not wearing a mask." And he sped away.
Do you remember that?
I kind of cleaned it up a little.
Huh?
I cleaned it up just a little bit.
There you go. Do you remember that same town? A taxi cab driver came up to me, and he said, "Here's my card." And the card had on it, "If you ever want to leave, just let me know, and I will take you wherever you want to go for free." And, and he'd already gotten 2 people out of St. Hill.
Yeah. Well, folks who go to my channel know that I recently upscaled that and put it back on my channel, so you can hear it better, you can see it better. And in going through the London footage or the St. Hill footage, I did find more of you talking to that guy on the street before we got into the car.
Okay. The taxi cab driver guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
I was doing a little interview with him in the taxi cab on the way there and back, and I edited that together.
Oh, cool. So great. You have all this film. It's really great. Years of it. Yeah. Now wait, here's another one. Question. Okay. Stand out. And a memory of each other protesting together. Okay, so what's one of us protesting together?
Well, I mean, I didn't really protest. I was filming. But certainly Magoo dancing in Boston is the one that comes to mind, because it was such a seminal moment in Scientology history to to have them turn Tory Christman into Magoo with a huge fan base building around the world every single day.
Yeah, that was really a turning point for me, for any of you that don't know, because I was originally not going to speak out, not make videos, and not picket. And then anyway, for whatever reason, we went up to Bob's house in New Hampshire, right?
Yep.
And then on the way home, they said, oh, by the way, we're going to stop in Boston and protest. And I said, I'm not going to protest. I told you I'm not. I'd only been out for 2 weeks. And they said, okay, well, I said, you can just drop me off at a mall and I'll go shop. And then I remembered all these people in 2 weeks. I've been talking to parents who've been saying, we're looking for our kids and we can't find them. And, children looking for their parents. And it was just awful. And I thought, Tory, you can't be this much of a flake. It's like, too much. You have to do something. So I said to Bob and Stacy, just drop me off in front of the Boston org. And I'm not going to protest, but I'll just talk to him. And so I walked in and I said, hi, I'm Tory Christman. I think I was Tory Bazazian still. I'm a Scientologist. And then I said, well, actually, I'm not. I just left. So you better call HCO, which is what they're supposed to call if there's a big to do, call HCO, and everybody comes running in to help. And she said, well, I am HCO. And I said, well, good, then you can give me a tour. And then Carolyn Percy was sitting in the lobby. And she said, Tory, oh my God, hi. She said, you're in the book. And she holds up this book. And I knew this is the first and last time anybody would ever see this book. And I said, can I get a copy of that? And she goes, sure, take it. And then she goes, what are you doing here? And I said, well, believe it or not, I'm here with these big SPs. I said, I'm not going to protest, but I'm just with them. And she said, well, did you route out? And I said, no. And she goes, well, you have to go through HCO. And I said, no, I don't have those plans. I'm going to go, but I suggest you get on the internet. And that was it. And that was the beginning of, but they being the beginning of it was when that guy kept filming me and I was hot. And I said, Bob, I'm really hot. And he goes, it's hard work being a suppressive person, Tory. And he said, just go across the street, get in the van, turn on the air conditioning. So I did. And that guy kept filming me and filming me and filming me. And I was kind of like waving like, hey, man, I know the drill. I was there 2 weeks ago. And he puts it all the way over to the window and puts it on the window. And that's really when I went, that's it. I have free speech too. And maybe I have something to say. And now I've made 1,000 videos and spoken out for 24 years.
Remarkable.
So they would have been smart to just talk to me. It was just so stupid.
Well, they'll never learn.
I know. They won't. That's a fact. All right. So now let me not miss anything else. Sieglin says, Wise Beardman metal yellow first read. I don't quite get that. Do you know what that is?
No, wait, read it again.
Wise Beardman metal MEDAL yellow first maybe it's RECT. Maybe it's RECT. I can't quite read the last word. At first I thought it was red. I'm not sure. Siegel, you'll have to explain to us what you're trying to say there. And why to Watchword says, comment just to confirm, did both Tory and Mark work at the LMT? Mark worked at the LMT. They helped me get out of Scientology by bringing me from LA to the LMT. And I was on the phone with parents for about a month that I was there, talking to parents and kids and stuff like that. But I wasn't really on staff. Right?
Right. Oh, you can't see me?
Huh?
Hello.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd take a look at the comments to see if I could figure out what it is, but then.
Oh, the other one, yeah, I don't know. Hi, Rib Guy. Same guys. Okay. I'm here kind of lurking because Also, modeling or you're modding for Dusty. Anyway, that's Marcy Pokies.
Yes.
Okay, so then Sophie says, Rib Guy, aggression and antisocial behavior only reinforces that the protesters are a threat. It's a deliberate attack of controlled opposition to encourage violent behavior or peaceful peaceful protesters. Yeah, it is. And then they can say to they do two things with that. One, they tell everybody how bad we are and evil if we're being violent. And two, they get to the donators and say, you need to donate money so we can handle these people that are really harming our church. And people are like, oh, okay. Rib Guy says, hi, Marcy. Okay, Marcy. So you're multitasking to Marcy. Okay. Question. All right. From the Scientology experience, what do you think is one reason people not born in are drawn to try C of S? I wasn't born into it. So,
well, there's probably not one reason, but because there are people who take the personality test and they're told, well, they find their ruin. You can work on this. We can help you with your marriage, your money, whatever. So that's one way in. Then there are other people who come in through, like the business seminars, and there's drug programs. So there's lots of ways that people not born into it can kind of find themselves going into it.
Yeah, I no one ever found my ruin ever. I just read Dianetics. Huh?
I found it.
What was it?
I'm not going to share it with the public.
Liar. Anyway, I just read Dianetics and I thought, okay, I'll be an auditor. So I quit college and hitchhiked from Chicago to LA to be an auditor. But, different people, like you said, there's all kinds of different routes. Originally, in the old days, it was like kind of read a book and do the personality test. Those were the two things. But now it's expanded and they've got all kinds of other front groups and things, Way to Happiness and different things, Narconon.
When I'm looking for jobs around here, I'm amazed by the number of Scientology businesses that have ads out there. Like the American Gas, whatever that thing is, and then the Postcard Mania, all these places. Oh yeah, I did apply once for the hell of it at the American Power Gas thing.
And what happened?
Well, it was fun. I'm sitting there being interviewed, and the woman is going, "You look familiar. What? Have we met?" No, I don't think so. I've got one of those faces. I'm sure that I've seen you somewhere. Meanwhile, she's got my name and resume right in front of her. I'm not hiding anything. And then they finished the interview and I went my way. I went out to the parking lot and got in my car with the Xenu TV license plate and drove away. Oddly enough, I didn't get hired. They're still trying.
I used to have a thing because they would always like me, and I was looking for work, and I would go into a company, and I'll show you exactly what I saw. Wait, just a second, because this is so classic of a Scientology business, and I don't think other businesses do this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this girl was the receptionist, and she had a thing like this. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can.
So she's basically keeping track of how many calls came in. And I thought, no company, real company keeps track of how many calls come in. But that's a Scientology thing. How many calls came in? That's her stat. So I realized, okay, she's a Scientologist, but I didn't want to say Scientology because I knew she'd lie. So I said, do you by any chance use the Hubbard Management Tech? And she goes, yes, we do. And I said, okay, well, here's the bad news. You can't hire me. And she goes, why not? And I go, because I'm a declared suppressive person. She goes, how could you be a declared suppressive person? And that would always happen. I would always be nice to people. And then I'd tell them that. And then they'd be like, how could that happen? And I'm like, it's your church. It's not me. Anyway, so that's what we think of how people get in who aren't born. There's a lot of people that do. I don't know anymore, but they used to have. The other thing they used to have years ago that they don't have anymore were missions. And so my husband's parents in Chicago started the first little group. It was actually just a group then. It wasn't even a mission. And they would go hear Hubbard, and then they would come back and they'd invite people over for coffee and cookies. And they'd talk about Dianetics, and then they'd try it out. And they had all these, they were so screwed up. But anyway, they would get people in that way. More people would go like, yeah, I want to do it. And then slowly the missions, those little groups became missions, and then the missions became orgs. And, it got bigger and bigger, from the old days, way back in my day. All right. So I backed the wrong horse. That's all I can say. Rib Guy said that.
Backed the wrong horse?
Like, how did he get in?
Oh.
He backed the wrong horse. Okay, so then here's a comment from Y2 Washer. Wise Beardman and Magoo have great chemistry. What do you think is your secret?
We like each other.
What is it?
We like each other.
We do.
There you go.
And we have since the day I liked you since the day I met you.
How could you not?
Huh? I know.
How could you not?
You don't have your thing saying you're because we're on on my side, so we don't have.
Yeah. Well, actually, if I'd been on my laptop, it was there, but it wasn't on the iPad here.
Okay. So what is it? You're a national hero?
Please. I'm. What am I? National treasure is what I am.
National treasure.
Because right. I don't. I hate to think of myself that way. It's just the people out there who are saying it over and over and over. So sometimes it slips my mind. But there are many who believe me a national treasure.
You are. But I thought you were right away when I met you. And, you were, in their minds, a very evil guy. But I was like, no, he isn't. So anyway. I was happy that, what's his face? What was that guy's name that did take the picket sign over to your house and you put him on your website for 20 years?
Oh, Dan Mernon.
Dan Mernon, yeah. That's right. All right, so that's what our secret is. We like each other. All right. Marcy, Sophie, I'm trying. Okay, she's trying something. I don't know what. Good question, Sophie says, to experience. Okay. Y2 Watcher, Tory, do you have lingering questions regarding Scientology? None. Zero. Zip. None. Or is there someone you want to talk to about the organization or its history? Not really. Everybody that I have talked to so many people who have educated me on stuff, like a lot of people that were way high in the church have left. I mean, Ben Corden was a really good friend of mine for years. I mean, he still is, but I haven't talked to him in a while. But we used to go out every Saturday night and we'd go to dinner and watch movies. And, I'd always ask him, he wrote Messiah or Madman.
Yeah, I met Bent at some of your
one of my parties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd ask him these questions and he'd go like this. It's in my book. I know. It was really funny. Okay.
I was going to say that it's kind of like Steve Martin. When he first became ultra famous back in the 70s and people would come up wanting an autograph, he had printed business cards that says, this certifies that you had an actual interaction with Steve Martin.
Oh, how funny!
And the way it was written was terrific. And then
Yeah.
it was signed and on the card itself, so he didn't have to do a signature. And he was talking about that somewhere on a talk show in the last week or two, saying, "I regret that now because I thought it was hysterically funny, but I probably upset some people with it." I can't imagine anyone being upset because that
Why would you be
is like a
upset?
perfect Steve Martin thing.
Exactly. Why would you be upset? I mean, only a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi, Mark Stebbins says hi, Tory, and Twilla. Is it Twyla? Can't be Twyla.
Why can't
How
it?
do you get the police to believe the protesters when CFS is telling the police falsehoods when time is of the essence? Now, wait a second. What does that mean, Mark?
Well, if you're in a situation where Scientology is telling the cops you've done something wrong, how do you convince them? No, no, no. When they're, willing to take Scientology's side, I think is the basic question.
Okay,
I
I
don't know.
got it. Oh, well, go on.
No, I don't know that there's any magic way to make the cops believe you, but I always say, treat them with as much respect as you can, even if you
Yeah.
think they're being used by Scientology, because it doesn't help anything to piss them off, as we saw with
Yeah.
Erica and her arrest. It's I always feel that if you're pulled over and they say, "Let me see your ID," you better show them the ID. And I think
Exactly. Well,
yeah,
I have a great story on that. Remember when I was going with Kimball up in Washington,
yeah,
John Kimball,
hmm
and he was in kind of a big truck, and we wanted to go to Seattle to see the Ideal Org there. And they had a little parking lot. He had a big truck. So we go in. First of all, this is kind of funny because normally they will never allow a camera in the org, ever. I mean, this is before all the live streaming and everything, but
hmm
just anybody with a camera, it was like, no, no, get the camera out of here. So I go in with my camera, holding it up. Like, I think I had it on record, like I'm
hmm
making a recording, right? And I
right,
thought the guy would throw me out right away. And I said, hello. And he goes, hello. And so now what do I do? So I went over and sat next to they had one of those Dianetic, just a rolling video of how great
oh,
Dianetics is and all this shit. And so I just sat down next to it, and it'd say, Dianetics can clear you. And I'd say, that's not true. And, so everything that it would say, I would counteract it. And so anyway, long story short, Mark says, or Kimball says he wants his SP to clear. They'd said he was an SP, so he says, I want my SP to clear. They finally kick us out. We get in his truck, and he just literally backs up maybe a half an inch and just taps another car. So the Scientologist comes zooming out, right? And they call the police right away. And so he calls the police. So now it's a little parking lot with 5 cop cars facing us. And this guy jumps out of cop and he goes, all right, you're being recorded. Everything that I say is being recorded. Throw your keys out of the truck. And Kimball says, no, he's a big, First Amendment guy. He has his own rights. And I had seen this lady in LA get beat up, right, on
yeah,
TV, who had done nothing wrong. And they just beat the shit out of her. So I'm like, when he goes no to these police, and I don't realize Washington is totally different than LA. And so I just throw open the door, and the guy comes around and goes, get in the truck. And I go, and Scientology's all there. And they have a process called give me that hand. Thank you. Right. And that's one of their processes. And so I throw open the door and the guy goes, get in the truck. And I go, give me that hand. I said, I'm a senior and I am getting out of this truck. So give me your hand. So he gives me his hand. I get out and I said, look, let me get something clear here. These people break up families and they stop free speech. That's why we're here, because we are protesting that. So if you're on their side, you let me know right now. And he goes, no, I'm not on their side. And I said, okay, and that's being tape recorded. He goes, that's correct. I said, okay, good. And then from then on, everything calmed down. Everybody was on our side because, I just made that clear that that's why we were there. So it's sort of like a communication thing where if you just make it clear why you're there, because like we went over to Author Services and they now hire, and Mitch Brisker taught me this, that if Miscavige is in the building, they hire these big military guys to be the security. And I was there with Peter, and this big military guy comes out, and Peter's like, "Where's Miscavige?" And he goes, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, where is he? That's your job." And he goes, "I don't know." And I can see the guy's going to get pissed and call the cops, right? And so I lean in and I go, "Do you have any idea why we're here?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Okay, this organization owes me $1 million." And I just tell him a little bit about it, and he gets all white. And this Sea Org guy comes running outside the door and takes this big military guy, and he was a little short guy, pushes him into the garage, throws him in the garage, shuts the door. But it just shows, that guy had probably been there many, many times, and nobody had told him why they were there.
Yeah. That was my input. Yeah.
Huh?
Nothing.
What?
No, I was just, you told a lovely story, and all I could think of to say was, yeah.
Well, I mean, you weren't in it. You have a different thing. You have tons of stories on your end of it that I'd be the same. Yeah. Except I know we both have the same one in London when these young anonymous guys not only had their own lingo of anonymous that had just, like LOL. We didn't know what that was back then. It was just like all these different terms. Plus, remember, they had those Cockney accents. And so we were in a bar together, and you were across the bar, and I was talking to this guy, and I honestly couldn't understand a word of what he was saying. And I looked over to you and I said, "Do you know what he's saying?" And you went like this, "I don't know." We both were like,
Yeah. When I was in Ireland, almost my entire trip was like that.
Yeah, I know. It was difficult.
We were at a pub with somebody who was just really, really upset at the state of Ireland. And he was going on and on and on about, whatever wacky stuff was going on in the country at the time. And I couldn't understand virtually anything other than, he's really upset at the state of the country.
Yeah.
And so I sat there for 15, 20 minutes. Oh, wow.
Okay, this goes into that. Sophie says, excuse me, comment. So with all the crazy things you both have seen, would you say that you're no longer shocked by the cult's actions?
Oh, I'm certain there's ways they're going to be shocking me in the future. We know how they operate, but there's always something new. So
yeah, I think it isn't that it's shocking anymore, because I think we both have seen enough shit that it's like I can't even imagine what they could do on top of all of it. But it's the fact that they keep doing it. That is shocking to me every time, every day when I hear another thing, this Celebrity Center thing where these big YouTubers, I mean, she said they have millions of followers, right?
Yeah.
And a film crew. And they go up there and end up getting in a fight with the security guy. And the guy's like trying to beat him up. And it's like, duh. I mean, again, this was last week, it might have been a couple of days ago, but it's like, you just go, did they ever learn? Do they ever learn? Do you ever learn, Osa? Ever? Never. I mean, Odo at least is saying hello to everyone in a friendly way.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the story from these guys, because they have over 2 million followers. And when he was here in Clearwater, we had lunch out on Cleveland Street at a Thai place. At least 4 young guys came up to us over the course of 15, 20 minutes to say, "Wow, I'm a huge fan of this guy."
Right.
You know, and he's built an empire on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you find it, send it to me. And if you don't find it, I'll ask her. I'll ask her to send it to us.
I'll probably get a contact from them when it's up, and they'll usually say, "Oh, here's a link to the story." But they do a lot of work, a lot of post-production work, a lot of editing and stuff. So they just don't point a camera at people and slap it up online.
Well, that's what she was saying. Now this testing center here is out of control because the TikTok kids are all just flocking there, taking videos, because they have this buzzer, I guess, for Will. If he just comes around the corner, they shut down the windows and everything. Bunkie's going to sleep. Alligator says, the only place I had to be attached to someone was when we were camping deep in the woods with a sleepwalker. You don't want to lose them. You'd have to be tied to them, yeah, to make sure. Okay, Sophie says, question, apart from Tory, Mark, are there other people when you met as Scientologists who are now out? And same question for Tory about her friends who are now out. Oh, yeah. Me, yeah, they're out. There's bunches of them are out. Bunches, more than I knew, were out. The secret is when you're in the Truman Show, and that's why I call it that, you think you're the only person waking up because you can't talk to anybody about it. But then you get out, and Spanky used to drive me around for, I think, 2 years. And she'd mention a name, and I'd say, well, are they still in? And she'd say, hell no, they left 20 years ago. So it's like a lot of people have left way before me even. It's just they didn't have the internet, so they're pretty low key.
And I'm a hermit, so I don't see a lot of people. So I can't. There are a lot of people who have left who may have been on my video and said, yeah, I'm sorry, this, that, or the other thing, but I'm out now, and I want to thank you for being out there with the camera. Stuff like that, but no one that I'm palling around with, because I don't pal around with anyone. Stay out of my way, you people. Come on. I got a life to live. I'm a hermit here. So.
All right, so Sieglin says, remember the ice truck at PAC? You do?
Yes, there was an ice truck with blacked out windows on the first. I think it was the first anonymous.
Picture. Yeah.
And I stupidly was not paying attention. I thought it was ice cream, and I was going around. We want ice cream. We want ice cream. Oh no, it was just ice. But I went over because they told me, we think that's a surveillance thing. We think Hosa's in there. So I went over and started pounding on the windows and trying to get a rise out of them, and no one came out, and then I walked back over to the anonymous, and after 10-15 minutes or something like that, the ice truck suddenly sped out of the parking lot there. So yeah, they were definitely in there filming through those blackened windows.
Yeah. Okay, Sophie says question. Oh no, we just asked that. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Sieglin, we said the ice truck. Sophie, Kelly, BC that Mary is hardcore. It's really interesting and terrifying to watch. I don't know
Mary
who you
DeMoss.
mean. Who is it?
Maybe Mary DeMoss she's talking about.
Do you mean Mary DeMoss? Sophie? Okay, Kelly B says, don't forget to hit the like button, everyone. Thank you. And Marcy says, done. And Kelly says, it's true, Sophie. She sure was hardcore. I wonder how she is now. I think she is out. Do you guys, are you talking about Mary DeMoss? Can you let us know,
I
Sophie?
think they probably are.
I do too. And Alligator, thank you. She says, done. And Sophie, I guess if we like it or not, it's a religion in the US, so it's protected as a religion. In the UK, it's not tax exempt, so I guess that's the difference. Mm, I, I, I don't go along with that. I mean, I know they have that tax exemption, but I think we can get it removed. Hey, shut up.
Hey, wait a minute. Might be me calling.
Huh?
It might be me calling. You're not going to answer?
No. But someone remind me to plug in my phone before we hang up, because that's my home phone. And yes, last time I unplugged it and I left it unplugged for 24 hours. It's like, no. Okay, so now let's see. In 1999, were you protesting? Or were you filming?
I never really, there's only a couple of short times when I actually had a picket sign in my hand. I was always videotaping.
But were you videotaping in 99?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was not. I was still in. I escaped out in 2000, in July of 2000. So Kelly BC says, Sophie, I think Mark contacted her at the same point. We had zero interest in talking with him. Go figure, LOL. My favorite thing, have you done the one with the going around and around and around with Mary?
Oh, the Mary DeMoss go around? Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, that's been upscaled. That's on the site now.
Okay, good. I'll go look for it. Okay, Alligator says Sophie in Canada, they're not recognized as a religion. Good. They're just a nonprofit organization with some tax credits.
Yeah,
Well,
there are places where they're not recognized as a religion. They're what is it, a religious philosophy? No, it's not even religion, and I forget what it's called now.
probably nonprofit, but it is for profit, so that's a lie. Silly question. Why two watchers? Tory and Mark. Custard / ice cream / frozen yogurt ? What is your favorite flavor?
Mint chocolate chip.
Okay, and which one do you want? Custard, ice cream, or frozen yogurt?
I'll go with the ice cream.
I'll go with the ice cream, and mine is very berry cherry.
So when do we get it? Now that we've ordered it.
Yeah.
When's it coming?
Yeah. When is it coming? I like all ice cream. I really do, except for chocolate. All chocolate. I like chocolate chip, but I don't like all chocolate. But I love ice cream.
My brother really loves ice cream. He'd just get a huge bowl and it would just be overflowing with that. Wow.
Yeah.
And I was the big guy at that point.
Yeah.
I like ice cream, but I have some in the freezer that have been sitting there for quite some time. Every once in a while, well, frequently, Publix grocery store has a BOGO, buy one get one free, and so cheap ice cream, I'll get some, and more often than not, it's just sitting there. Like I had a little bit last night, I think, because I needed something chocolatey, but and occasionally not once in a blue moon, I will use my little what do they call that blender? The one that was oh, for God's sakes. There was a famous one that was a TV commercial, one of those infomercials.
That made
You
like
twist on it and it goes.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
A friend of mine was the host for that one, I think.
Wow.
She did it for years. Anyway, I got one, and every once in a while I will make a malt.
Ooh.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I was in the store and I saw Ovaltine.
Ovaltine.
And
I didn't know they
so I
still
bought
had
some.
that.
Huh?
I didn't know they still had Ovaltine.
They do. I found it there. I was just looking for something with malt, and there was Ovaltine, and now on the label it says, kind of like all natural, healthy for you. Don't worry about a thing. Have Ovaltine with every meal. I don't know, something like that. But I got to tell you, it's pretty tasty.
Oh yeah.
And here's the one thing I'll say about ice cream. I do not want to have a shake.
Oh.
Shake is melted ice cream. You put some malt in there and give me a malt, that I'll take. I love malts, but shakes is a waste of ice cream, it seems.
Well, the lady that helped me lose the 100 pounds used to call it eatertainment. And she would say, you really only taste the first couple bites, and the rest is eatertainment, where you just want to eat. So she would say, make a better choice on eatertainment. And milkshakes is one of those where it's bad at eatertainment. It's tons of calories, and it's gone in a couple seconds, and then you're done. Whereas if you eat the ice cream, it takes a while.
All right. Same amount of calories.
your Flora a lesson for tonight. It's the first place medal for Mark. It's in the emoticons. It's a first place medal from Mark. It's in the emoticons. Okay. I guess you got the first place. I don't get where the emoticons are.
Emoticons are, if you see the little images in on Facebook.
No, I know what they are, but I don't see them here. Are they talking about here? Huh? I mean, you don't have emoticons on your thing now.
Me? No, yeah. I never have emoticons. I made some emoticons out of me, which I may use someday.
Yeah.
But I had how I make these. I'm just bringing up the comments here. I make all these AI images, and so I decided, if I'm going to use emoticons, I want them to be personalized. So I have me smiling and angry and all sorts of different reactions.
That's fun.
Yeah. Rib Guy, chocolate banana malt is the favorite malt. Okay, I hear you. Kelly was raised on Ovaltine. How about that?
Well, now you can see the comments.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I went there and it says show on stage. Can people actually see that if I push show on stage?
What are you talking about?
On here, it gave me the option to show that comment on stage, which is what I can do when I'm hosting my own ones. But
you show the comments on stage?
Well, you can post up the comments so everyone can read them at home.
There you go. HCO bring order. What is it? That's when Scientologists are self-authorized to physically restrain order as per Elbridge. True.
Oh, I see Mitch is here. Mitch stands by In-N-Out Shakes, the best.
All right. Hi, Mitch. I don't see him.
Oh, Mitch.
Oh yeah, he is. Okay, I stand by In-N-Out shakes. Yeah, that's true. I like Jack in the Box shakes the best.
Man, I
Okay,
miss Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box is my favorite place. I don't
I know.
quite
Me
get
too.
in and out. I know people line up around the block to get in and out. Eh.
It's
But
amazing.
I don't want to take it away from anyone. If you absolutely love In and Out, you go. You do you.
You do
Me,
you,
yeah.
not you. All right. Okay, so Mitch, we got that. Thank you. Oh wow, I believe it, Sophie. Interesting and sad. Okay, not sure. I never had one of their shakes, Mitch. Okay. Egg creams. Ooh, I don't like those. That's from Tim. JB808, hello.
Hello,
Every,
JB808.
every time I eat something sweet, I get hungry for something savory, like a steak. Now that's interesting. I don't have that problem. Sophie oh, she's talking to Marcy about something. Oh, yeah, I like 50-50 parts too. Mitch Brisker said, hey guys, so great to see you together. Thank you. It's our thing for 24 years. 25, I think, because I think the
Yeah. Well,
July 4th thing was in 99, right?
it was.
Yeah, when I was still in.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Really amazing. So Sophie says, hi, buddy, to JB808. And Marcy says, me too. Oh, wow, Sophie. That's crazy. Okay. They did these new studies on rats. Wait a second.
Applied religious philosophy. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. And so we're not a religion. Okay, we're an applied religious philosophy. Do they use that in countries where they're not a religion? I think that's it. Mitch or someone would be able to say, yeah, bunker, or no, bunker.
Yeah. Okay, so Sophie said earlier, Marcy, yes, it is. It's the worst when you have 50-50 mix of sugar and fat. It turns off the part of your brain. Wow. That tells you you're full. I watched a whole documentary on it. Wow, that's awful.
Well,
That's not
I got to tell you, when I was on Munjaro, it was remarkable to just turn off the appetite.
what
Don't
was
want to eat?
Mounjaro?
Nah. Munjaro is one of those weight loss drugs.
Oh,
And I was on it while I was working for the city on the council. And for at least a half a year after I stopped taking it, it still had turned off my appetite to a large extent. Now it's back to the same old have a potato chip and eat a whole bag. It's like, no, I don't want to do this. No. And yet compulsively it's going in the mouth.
entertainment.
Yeah. And
You
and
got to
I, I,
pick
I
better.
hate that there's just a switch you can pull to stop that. And I can't pull that switch.
Well, make a better choice. That's it.
Yeah. But it's better when Manjaro is making the choice for you and you just go, I don't care. I don't want anything to eat.
All right. So here's a fact that Marcy said, and thank you for saying it. You are both national treasures. There you go. Bunkie's like, she's not.
Well, I have. If it's up to the masses, if they say yes, then you're a national treasure too.
Oh,
And I welcome you. I'll welcome you to the stage when we come out and take a bow together as national treasures.
I'm a national escape artist.
Wow.
I escaped out. Okay, Sophie, thanks for holding down the fort. JB808 says. Yeah, agreed, Sophie. Good job. And Rib Guy says, in 5 years, I only called HCO Bring Order once. Yeah, I don't think I ever did. Marcy, I guess sorbet might be better, but a little ice cream is fine. I mean, we've got to live right. Yeah, you got to have something that you enjoy.
Hey, let me
I
ask Mitch something.
Okay.
Hey, Mitch, have you downloaded DaVinci Resolve 20 yet?
What is
I
it?
did yesterday. DaVinci Resolve 20 is the latest version of the editing software we both use, and it's got some remarkable stuff in it. So, just curious. I'm gonna take a look at the chat now and see if he responds.
It's called Da Vinci. What's the rest of it?
DaVinci Resolve, he knows.
I know, but I don't, and I
Yeah,
want
but
to look it up.
you're not gonna use DaVinci Resolve. So, yeah,
How do you know?
because it's a complicated program that is hard to master. Where's my glasses?
Well, if you don't tell me what it is, I can never master it.
It's oh, Mitch says yes, he has. He's deep into it. No bugs yet. I've had it crash a couple of times. Once when I was just kind of adjusting a subtitle, but by and large, it's doing good. I had some problems with sound too. Everybody else just relax for a moment. I'm talking to Mitch. I was trying to export a video last night, and the sound disappeared after 3 minutes. It was like, why? I'm looking at this. I'm going back. I'm making new copies of it. Nah. So I don't know, but I finally just started over from scratch, and it was fine. So everybody
Okay.
else, I'm sorry, I'm done with the editing talk.
Okay. So someone asked about the 4th of July for us to tell about it. So you tell your side, I'll tell mine.
Well, I had decided to go down to L. Ron Hubbard Way back in '99 to just film a little bit of the street fair that was going on. There was a big banner overhead saying "Everyone welcome." So I thought, okay, I'm welcome. And I took my camera there, and I was stopped from entering the street. And then
That's right. You had those mean guys at first.
yeah, that was when the three guys, including Dan Mernon, were surrounding me and saying, "What are your crimes, Bunker? What are they? What are?" So, I mean, that was so fascinating that I had to go back on July 3rd, and we had some more adventures then. So I went back on July 4th, and that's when I met you. That was the culmination of my trilogy of excellent protest videos.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I happened to, I don't even know why I was there, but I was there in Scientology, and I was probably there with Osa. They probably asked me to come because the critics were going to be there, and you showed up with that big camera, and they said, "Okay, Tory, you got to get rid of this guy. Get him off the street. We don't want him filming us." And I said, "Okay." I was always like, "Okay, I'll give it my best shot." And they said, "Go with this guy," and he's from Britain, and he was like, "Hello, my name's Larry," or whatever it was. So I said, "Okay, then mine will be Katie or something like that."
Margaret.
And Margaret. Okay, so I had this phony accent, and I was like, "Hello, my name is Margaret." Or you said, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name's Margaret." And you said, "What's your last name?" And I said, "I don't want to tell you that." And you said, "Well, I'll tell you mine. It's Mark Bunker." And we kind of went back and forth, and I was trying to like move you down the street. Wasn't really working. And then I can't really remember what happened after that. Didn't they chase you down to the freeway?
Oh no! As we were talking, I saw Dan Mernon walk out of Big Blue and start walking away, and he may have just been sent to lure me away from L. Ron Hubbard Way. So I followed filming him
You
all the way
followed
down to the
him.
freeway. Yeah, I
That's
followed
right.
him.
Yeah,
and I was
so
trying to
Bunker
get him to
left.
talk.
Yeah, so you left. It worked because that's what they wanted, was you to get off the street.
But I
And
tell
it's
you, if on July 2nd, when I went there originally to shoot a little film, if I just shot some footage of people at a table where there's Dianetics books and other people riding a little Ferris wheel, and took that back, history would be so different.
right.
Xenu TV probably would never have existed. There would not have been a wise beard man if they had just said, so he's taking some videos, so what? Instead, they surround me with, what are your crimes? Come on, what are your crimes? And the rest is history.
Yeah. But that was kind of going. That was an ongoing thing that was going to keep going. And it did. You know, it's just like each person that runs into that train, they think, you know, if they hadn't done it, then the train would have stopped, but it wouldn't have. You know, like I was in Clearwater in 79 when they had the town protesting Stamp Out Scientology, they're liars, with Richard Tenney trying to run for city commissioner. And that's how I got into the OSA thing, because we had moved there. And that guy Milt Wolf said, you've got to handle this, Tory. And I said, I have a brand new baby. How am I going to handle it? I mean, these were hundreds of people that were outside Flag. It was a mess. But anyway, I got rid of them. It took months, but, you know, I went and just talked person to person, and I went to the meetings, and then Richard Tenney came, and Bunkie's going to sleep. Bunkie.
Yeah, I'm tired and my butt really hurts.
Oh.
I need a
All right,
pillow on this. I need a pillow on this chair.
All right. Well, do you want to stay or leave? Because you can leave.
I think, I think I need to bail.
Okay.
I haven't had anything yet to eat since breakfast. So,
Bunkie, you're supposed to eat.
well, that would be good. So I will bid you all adieu.
Okay, well, let me just read this by JB808. When I first saw Mark's 4th of July videos, I used to think Elleridge Boulevard was a giant park. I always wanted to see what was behind the power bale, velvet rope. He wasn't allowed past. Anyway, good night, Mark. Thank you for coming on.
Well, I'm sorry I have to bail everybody, but
it's all right. Go get some sleep.
Very good. I will do that.
Thank you for being here as long as you were. And thank you, everybody. Good night.
Night.
And my next one is going to be on, I'm trying to think. Well, we don't have to end. If you guys have something to ask. Sophie, everything will come from the sugar shack to your heart is a little token of appreciation. Oh, that's so nice, alligator. Very sweet. Thank you, Mark. Okay. I'm so cool. Let me show you my new glasses. Then you'll see I'm really cool. There you go. These are the biggest glasses I've ever had in my life. You can go to Amazon and you can try them on, and they look cute on the ones on Amazon. They look like they fit, but they're gigantic now. So this is a vote. I want you guys to vote. Should I keep them or not? Yes or no? Are they too big? Are they too weird? They look too big to me, so I won't be offended if you think they're too big. But tell me. I can't read the thing and keep those on. What do you think? I bet you won't. Okay. Thank you, Tory. Come to the asylum. Okay. Open panel, live chat. Okay. That's what all good CIA agents wear. That's so funny. They're fine. Sieglin says, okay. Eric says, you love them. Okay, good. Marcy says, look great, Tory. I like them. All right, good. I vote yes. Sophie says yes. Big glasses gives the old Hollywood glamour. I know these are really big, though. I mean, look at them. But the good news is they really block the sun. And for someone like me who's light sensitive, they really help. So I think I'll keep them. What the heck? If you like them and they're useful, why not? Thank you, alligators. They're great. You just need a really big hat to go with them. I think I have one. Powerlize to paralyze. I can wear my CIA hat. There you go. All right. FBI, you're under arrest. All right. Now I can't read Charles. That's the only problem. Inside, I can't read anything. Hi, Tory. Did you see the tease from William Streets about a guy's upcoming video where he was pushed by Celebrity Center? No, we were just talking about it tonight. We've been talking about it. No, I'm dying to see the actual video. They're so cool. Thank you, Sophie. Perfect. All right. Thank you, guys. You need a cigar now. I know. I feel like I look like I'm in the mafia or something. Know what, where? Ooh, keep the glasses. All right, good. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And if anybody, Sophie, if you have that link to Will, I'm trying to find that one of the Celebrity Center thing so I can see it. I'll go poke around his site, but I didn't see it so far. I did today, and I didn't see it. So I don't know. Look at that. Now that just moved. Isn't that weird? I love this camera, the way it does that. It just, on its own, it's like, okay. All right, kids. Well, anyway, I'm going to head out myself. We've been on for an hour and 31 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Sophie, for being our moderator. Thank you, all of you, for coming on and your questions and comments. I appreciate it. And there you go. Tonight is what? Sunday. So I'll be on, I think, tomorrow night. I think. Will has 2 channels. I know that. One is the police one, Film the Police LA. Yeah, and the other one is Streets LA. No, it's called Scientology Audits, and then in parentheses, it's Streets LA. All right. So good night, you guys. I will see you tomorrow night, wherever I am. God knows where I'm going to be. Anyway, I love you. Bye.